Good evening and welcome. Tonight, APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu hints on plans to liberalize Nigeria's energy sector, says no inconsistencies in his academic and birth records as he condemns electoral violence ahead of the 2023 general elections. Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi meets with stakeholders from the northeast, assists youth employment is the root of insecurity in the country, promises to change the trend. And PDP presidential candidate or train makes a stopover in Lagos. The party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar vows to privatize the Warri, Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries.
And on business news, Nigeria's foreign trade drops to 11.6 trillion naira in the third quarter from 12.84 trillion naira recorded in the second quarter of this year.
On sports news tonight, Croatia beat Japan on penalties to reach the quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar after a 1-1 draw in their last 16 clash.
And from Abuja, after 8 months of inactivity following the suspension of services, the Abuja-Kaduna train rolls back into operation.
And in international news from London, the largest trial in Belgian history has begun with 10 men accused of involvement in Islamist suicide bombings in Brussels in 2016 that killed 32 people and injured over 300.
It's a presentation that was much anticipated. And finally, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, was a guest at Chatham House today, where he declared that he is a true born of the Tinubu family in Lagos State. While responding to questions during the interaction in London, the APC presidential flag bearer challenged those who dispute his claims that he is from the Tinubu family to request for a DNA test. He also defended his date of birth, saying he was born on March 29, 1952, and also condemned electoral violence and malpractice in the country.
After much media anticipation, it all came down to this moment here at the Chatham House in London, an institution known for promoting intellectual engagement over issues of global interest, where the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Chief Bola Tinubu, is set to ventilate his thoughts on national and global affairs. It's a packed room with associates, supporters and the media, including APC governors and leaders who accompanied him to the UK for the meeting.
I'm delighted to be chairing today Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Welcome back to Chatham House.
Chief Tinubu begins with his appraisal of election management and his strong opposition to electoral violence and malpractice.
Recent statutory engagements, enactment, and allowing the use of technology, the tools for the accreditation of voters and transmission of results, we deliver the fairest and freest election in our nation's history. I stand firmly against all forms of electoral violence and intimidation.
The presidential candidate then establishes a nexus between national security and economic development as he highlights on improved agriculture and he hints to further liberalize the energy sector if elected.
The centralized approach to energy policy infrastructure is not an optimal arrangement, and it is unlikely to improve by mere tinkering around the sites. The federal government, as regulator and operator and the price fixer, is a broken model. We are sure to fix this.
Chief Tinubu ends his about 25 minutes presentation with applause from his supporters and others, and then it's time for engagement.
Some would say something is going badly wrong with NNPC. Some would blame it on the organized theft of Nigeria's oil. What is your solution to this very pressing problem?
However, Chief Tinubu describes leadership as teamwork, asks his associates to respond to the questions asked.
To demonstrate that, I will choose the first question, assign it to Dele Alake.
Okay.
And the second question, assigned to Nasiru El-Rufai.
in the first 6 months of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, oil theft will not only be reduced tremendously, the goal is to stop it in its entirety.
Nigeria has about 300,000 policemen for a population of over 200 million. We need at least twice that number. That will be achieved by amending the Constitution so that policing can be at federal, state, and even at community level.
And this journalist, Priscilla Wikpo, raises questions about his perceived dodgy character and his age.
There are issues at the moment running with regards to your identity, with regards to your age. So I wonder if you could provide some clarity on the issues of your identity and age, and also let us know when we can engage with you one-on-one.
The record is there. The transcript is there. So in March 1952, I'm not claiming another father. I am Tinubu and Tinubu proper. If they want a DNA, they could as well require for one.
And this is a response to why he avoids media engagements.
I see myself as a marketable individual. Want to use me to make money, and I'm saying no.
This forum with Chief Bola Tinubu at Chatham House will no doubt elicit reactions from different quarters in the coming days. He has, however, made his case for why he should be elected. As the Institute says, this is the first in the series of meetings in the run-up to the 2023 general elections. Jeffrey Uzongo, Channels Television News.
While the APC presidential candidate was busy making his presentation, pro- and anti-Tinubu groups, mostly Nigerians, were outside Chatham House with placards chanting different slogans. The action resulted in scuffles between the rival groups, prompting the police to intervene to restore order. Back here in Nigeria, political activities are on the upswing, with other presidential candidates reaching out to potential voters in next year's election. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, says the vast number of unemployed youths in the northeast is the biggest contributing factor to insecurity in the region. He says this will be a thing of the past when idle youths become engaged in legal activities, from agriculture to commerce, which will ensure the country moves from consumption to production. He was speaking when he met with Northeast stakeholders in Abuja.
The presidential candidate of the Labour Party is at this town hall meeting with stakeholders of the party from the Northeast region. Among the stakeholders is the former secretary to the government of the Federation, Mr. Babachi Lawal. The presidential candidate explains his plans for the region, which has battled insurgency for the past 13 years.
What that is promising you is, number one, that we have the best combination, the best experience to start tackling issue of security. And I will say it, hold us responsible. Let nobody tell you that we cannot solve insecurity in Nigeria. It can be stopped and done very quickly.
Mr. Obi says insecurity will be a thing of the past when idle youths become engaged in legal activities, from agriculture to commerce, which will ensure the country moves from consumption to production.
35% unemployment. Youth unemployment is nearing 60%. So you have millions of youths in their productive age doing nothing, not knowing where the next bill will come from. With that situation, you're going to have crisis.
The national chairman of the party implores stakeholders in the region to mobilize massively for all candidates of the party at all levels so that the party can come out victorious at the general elections.
Today, all the candidates of the party are candidates with good credentials. They are candidates with integrity, candidates that have the capacity, the candidates that have the competence to drive the process of development for the country and therefore give us good governance.
The Labour Party is hoping that these stakeholders can take the message to the people and ultimately secure victory for the party.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar says he will privatize the Warri, Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries to raise 10 billion naira for youth and women empowerment if elected president in 2023. He said this during his presidential campaign held at the Tafawa Balewa Square, Onikon, in Lagos, where he also said his government will restore the economy of the state. At the campaign rally, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, was officially received into the PDP. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Supporters of the People's Democratic Party gather at the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos State for the PDP presidential campaign. The PDP presidential candidate, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, his running mate, Governor Ifeanyi Okoh of Delta State, members of the PDP National Working Committee and Presidential Campaign Council make their way into the venue on a caravan to a rowdy crowd of supporters. As the campaign kicks off, the PDP governorship candidate in Lagos State, Mr. Abdulaziz Adediran, addresses the crowd, promising to end thuggery in motor parks and markets in the state.
The current governor, when he took over office, our poverty rate in the state of Lagos, where Ambode left it, was 4.5%. Now, it is 8.5%. As the 16th governor of Lagos State, I will put a stop to all forms of harassment in our market, on our roads, and we make sure Lagos work for everybody.
Two major areas the PDP says it will focus on if elected in 2023 are the economy and infrastructure.
Go and campaign for the PDP so that with Atiku Abubakar as president in 2023, it will be well for Nigeria and it will be well for our youths. It will be well for our women.
Atiku Abubakar is the only candidate that will implement those policies that will make it possible for Lagosians to sip, to end on poverty, to make sure that Nigeria becomes the greatest country in Africa.
At the rally, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Yakubu Dogara, is officially received into the PDP.
We have looked at all the tickets, and we believe it is Atiku and Okoh who will deliver on the great promise of this nation.
It's time for Mr. Atiku Abubakar to make his remarks, and he reveals plans to boost the economy of Nigeria and Lagos State.
If you elect me as a president, I said and I promise, by the grace of God, I am going to set aside $10 billion so that we can empower our young men and women in small, medium enterprises. People were asking me, why am I going to get 10 billion? If I privatize Port Harcourt refinery, Warri refinery, Kaduna refinery, I'm going to get the money.
Lagos is the second state in the southwest to host Mr. Atiku Abubakar, and he hopes that people will give him their support at the polls in 2023. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
And as you heard from the PDP's presidential candidate, he will raise $10 billion for youth and women empowerment if elected president next year. And with part two after the break, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State warns PDP Presidential Campaign Council against the disparage The disparagement of the G5 governors and the Integrity Group. We'll have details in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu hints on plans to liberalize Nigeria's energy sector, says no inconsistencies in his academic and birth records as he condemns electoral violence ahead of the 2023 general elections. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi meets with stakeholders from the Northeast, insists youth employment is at the root of insecurity in the country, promises to change the trend. PDP presidential campaign train makes a stopover in Lagos. Party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar vows to privatize Warri, Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries to raise $10 billion for youth and women empowerment. And ANC's National Executive Committee backs embattled President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's facing corruption allegations in a possible impeachment vote in Parliament tomorrow. We're staying with politics. Governor Nyesom Wike is once again talking tough, warning members of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council to stop making what he describes as disparaging comments against any of the party's G5 governors and members of the Integrity Group. The Rivers State governor issued the warning during the flag-off of a road construction in Eleme local government area of the state. He also took a swipe at former House Speaker Yakubu Dogara following his defection to the PDP from the APC. The flag-off ceremony was performed by a former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko.
What I want to tell the presidential candidate of PDP, we mean peace. We want all of us to be together for the party to win an election. But let me say clearly, if your boys again continue to attack the G5, continue to attack the leaders of our party, we will strike back. We will strike back. If anybody again dares in the PDP Presidential Campaign Council to insult the PDP governors of G5, insult our leaders of Integrity Group, we will fight back. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We want peace. All we want, equity, fairness, and what? Justice. Nobody should take us for granted. I cannot understand people who just left APC 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, are talking about PDP, that we stayed and suffered to build the party. At that proper time, I will talk about how Dogara and Baba Chia visited me and what we agreed. Ask Dogara, what made you to leave PDP? Ask him. Dogara was to see me. Unknown to me, he gave me an excuse. And I was watching television, see Dogara in the villa. Being received by President Muhammadu Buhari that he has gone to APC. That's okay. No problem. No problem. The same Dogara I watched said Southern presidency. Said for there to be peace in Nigeria, that should be so. Now I'm hearing the same Dogara again. What kind of come? Now so on they do something.
The former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has responded to the jabs coming from the Rivers State governor. Jabs from Wike came following the former Speaker's defection to the PDP from the APC. While responding to Governor Wike through a series of tweets on the microblogging site Twitter, Honorable Dogara wrote, "To my brother, Governor Nyesom Wike, if there is anything you are suffering from, I never thought amnesia would be one of them. Why would you think no one except you is entitled to a certain set of principles he or she cannot compromise? It's such a pity if you cannot remember what our discussion and agreement was all about." Further questioned why Wike believed only his own position should be respected and followed, he said he would never betray a friend and a brother. That is why he will not respond to Wike's tirade on live TV. Let's go now to our Abuja studio where Gloria Mezoke is standing by with more on the news. Hi, Gloria. Great to see you.
Hello, Amarachi. Thank you. Well, we continue with electoral matters against the backdrop of next year's elections. This time, the president is once again giving the assurance that he is committed to handing over leadership to an elected president on May 29, 2023, in line with the Constitution. President Muhammadu Buhari made this remark today when he received the Minister of National Education, Preschool and Sports of the Kingdom of Morocco, Mr. Shakib Ben Musa, who visited the State House as a special envoy of King Mohammed VI. President said that he will continue to cherish and strengthen the very warm and cordial relations between the two countries. Accompanied by the resident representative of the kingdom in Nigeria, Mr. Musa Ali Tagma, the special envoy told the president that the friendship and solidarity of the king, the government and people of Morocco are with Nigeria. Away from elections, after 8 months of suspension owing to a deadly terror attack in March this year, operations have resumed on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line. The first train departed the Rigasa station in Kaduna by 8 a.m. and arrived in Abuja at 10:22 a.m. today. However, the first day of resumption of services witnessed low passenger turnout. The Rigasa train station in Kaduna State comes alive again, 8 months after the deadly attack by terrorists on March 28. The attack claimed 9 lives, leaving 26 injured, while 63 others were kidnapped. This attracted international and national outrage, even as the terrorists released the hostages in tranches, with the last release coming on October 5, 2022. The management of the Nigeria Railway Corporation had on March 29 suspended operations on the route indefinitely following the deadly attack. The corporation is leaving nothing to chance as it has introduced new stringent security measures for passengers. The first coach takes off from the Rigasa station as passengers board the train amidst tight security. Heavily armed security personnel are stationed in all coaches. However, there's a low turnout of passengers. Nevertheless, Mohammed Modibo, a victim of the March 28 train attack, still prefers traveling by train.
Me, I prefer to join the train because of the no shaking on the road. But if you follow transport, the road is too bad, so I prepare to join the train.
No, I'm not scared. How can I be scared? We pray for safety everywhere, you know. It's God that protects anywhere you are. It's not your whatever, it's your power and everything. It's God that do everything. And we continue to pray for him to continue to guide us.
The train arrives at the Idu station, Abuja, at exactly 10:22 a.m. In addition to the deployment of more armed security personnel to the trains, passengers must now present their national identity number and valid boarding ticket before they are allowed to board.
Operationally, a lot of effort has also gone into ensuring that every single person that goes on board our trains are profiled. And you can see the machines that have been set up here. So anybody going on our trains, we have, not only we have the entire biodata.
Well, you wouldn't have expected to have full complement of passengers being the first day. And, the decision to resume service today was taken within a short notice. But I hope that going forward, you will see there will be improvement in the passenger turnout.
These new security measures also come with some technical challenges.
The system was not just giving me ticket. So I came here physically. I've been on the queue for over 40 minutes. And I see some people with tickets and I have not been able to get. I haven't seen anything, but who is going to enter the train?
The head of ticketing operations show how it works.
At the stations, we've now put up ID verification devices in addition to all other things that we had previously. So there are ID verification devices now. Before you access the departure area of each station, you have to go through those devices. And when your ticket is scanned onto them, we can see that the ticket details are right, the picture and the name match the passenger.
The Nigeria Railway Corporation is assuring Nigerians plying the route of their safety, as all measures are in place to ensure there would not be a repeat of the March 28 deadly incident. To legal matters now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned the Kogi State House of Assembly candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, for Ankpatu constituency, Mr. Ismaila Yusuf Atumeyi, before the Federal High Court, sitting in Lagos. He was arraigned on an 18-count charge alongside two others in connection with an alleged 1.4 billion naira bank fraud. The other two defendants are Ngene Joshua Dominic and Abdul Malik Salau, a former banker. At the arraignment today, the EFCC, through its counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Rotimi Oyedepo, told the court, presided over by Justice Tijani Ringim, that the offences border on concealment of proceeds of fraud, money laundering and cybercrime. According to the EFCC counsel, the defendants committed the alleged offences between August and October 2022 in Lagos. When the courts were read to the defendants, they each pleaded not guilty. The EFCC counsel asked the court to order an accelerated hearing of the case. The court also listened to the bail applications of the defendants from their counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Bolaji Ayorinde, and counter-arguments from Mr. Oyedepo. Justice Ringim adjourned till tomorrow, Tuesday, for ruling on the bail application. Well, still ahead on the news at 10. Nigeria's foreign trade drops to 11.6 trillion naira in the third quarter of this year from 12.84 trillion naira recorded in the second quarter. Well, that's in business news. We'll join us again.
Welcome back. And if you're among those interested in pursuing courses in cybersecurity, data science and information system, among others, there's some good news as these courses are now to be introduced into the Nigerian university system. Speaking at the 6th anniversary of the National Universities Commission in Abuja, the Executive Secretary, Professor Abubakar Rashid, explains that the changes are effected after a comprehensive review of benchmark minimum academic standards currently in use. On his part, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation announced plans to review the laws that will allow for the autonomy of Nigerian universities. And it promises to be a happy Christmas for some intending car owners, as an agreement has been reached between one of Nigeria's biggest car dealers and two internationally recognized insurance companies to aid interested persons purchase vehicles of their choice. Representatives from ICO Insurance and Tangerine shared details of the new service offering from Coscharis Motors with the media in Lagos.
In pursuit of customer satisfaction, companies are building partnerships to remain competitive and relevant, especially in a competitive market like Nigeria. That's why Coscharis Motors is partnering with two global insurance companies to bring affordable cars and vehicle insurance for intending car owners.
The uniqueness about this is we're coming with two insurance brands that have the pedigree in the insurance sector to give that peace of mind to our customers. And that is also why we're saying to our customers, now you can go to any Coscharis outlet when you pick your vehicle. You also have that robust option of picking your insurance at that very compelling rate of 1.75%.
A further explanation of the products and services of the Trio platform is here provided.
Coscharis is one brand which is very customer-centric. They were looking for, they take care of their customers very well, which is also a ICO brand value. So we thought we'll join the hands with them. If the customer is buying insurance along with the Coscharis motor, which means customer will stay free of any hassles. If there is any accident, anything, customer can just call Coscharis or ICO and the things are taken care of.
What we're bringing is preferential pricing to this partnership, because Coscharis is a big brand, Tangerine's a big brand, and we know that the brands that they have under their umbrella have very loyal customers, so we're giving them 1.75% as the insurance rate for the auto insurance we offer through this partnership. We're trying to make sure customers get convenient, affordable, simple insurance when they need it, how they need it, and this partnership will help us deepen that to the wider purchasers of cars in the Nigerian market.
Then, the agreement is signed.
Please, a round of applause.
With a 1.75% rate on the premium for any vehicle purchased from any Coscharis Motors dealership, Nigerians poised to purchase their first vehicles are sure to get top-notch after-sales services.
Well, the celebrations continue as University of Lagos Mass Communication Alumni Association has held its annual dinner and awards night, bringing together former students and lecturers of the department for a night of celebration. At the reunion, awards and special recognitions were given to individuals and sets that have contributed to the development of the department and growth of the association. According to the organizers, it's a beautiful way to end the year. It's the 2022 annual dinner and awards night of the University of Lagos Mass Communication Alumni Association, UMCA.
You'll find a lot of people, they'll say...
Representatives from 12 graduating sets, starting from as far back as 1974, all the way to 2010, and some lecturers of the department are all present to grace the reunion. The former students, many of whom had not been in touch for a while, were elated to see one another again.
We've had a very itch-free planning for this dinner, and I'm sure we are here to enjoy, to meet our former mates and network. So I welcome all of you, both the junior and the veterans. We are going to have a swell day here. We are going to enjoy ourselves here by God's grace.
And just like every association, the time comes for serving executive officials to give way to new hands.
6 years ago, when this ESCO was elected, we had to go through the effort of unifying two arms of our association. Today, we are united, stronger, and very active. Initially, to keep us active and bring in more members, we started the several WhatsApp walls and requested members to reach out to others. I'm proud to say that today our association has one of the most vibrant walls of professionals.
Special recognition awards for exemplary leadership are given to veterans who have contributed to the development of the department, including First Vice President of the University of Lagos Alumni Association, Dr. Fasi Yusuf, and ex-officio member of the UNILAG Alumni Association, Dr. Wahid Olaguju. But a special honor, the award of Statue of Greatness for Exemplary Leadership, the first in the annals of UMCA, is bestowed on John Momo, the chairman of Channels Media Group, for his great service to the body. Here represented by Channels Television's Assistant Controller of News, Louis Eke.
Dr. John Momo is a very quiet person, but he works behind the doors. So today we didn't just give him the statue of greatness. He's also an exemplary leader. People might not regard to it. Right now is the most outstanding past president of UNILAG Alumni Association with some of the things that he has done. But we know that he will never come out to say it. That's what we are here for.
UMCA Annual Dinner and Awards Night is a time of celebration and a unique opportunity to bring together individuals who are making impact in the department for one night. Let's head on to business news now. Here's Will Ibon.
Thanks, Amarachi. Now, 11.59 trillion naira. That's the total value of foreign trade recorded in the third quarter of this year, according to data by the National Bureau of Statistics. This figure represents a 9.7% decline in the third quarter when compared to 12.84 trillion naira recorded in the second quarter of 2022. A further breakdown of the report shows total exports declined quarter on quarter by about 19.9% to 5.93 trillion naira, while the value of re-exports in the third quarter of 2022 stood at 25.04 billion naira. On the other hand, total imports increased by 4.22% to 5.66 trillion naira. Now, as part of efforts to help corporate organizations in the country build resilience against rising global inflation and future pandemics, economic think tank Financial Derivatives Company, FDC, has organized a forum to enable businesses prepare for such uncertainties. Speaking at the event, renowned economist, the Chief Executive Officer of FDC, Mr. Bismarck Ruwani, highlights measures business leaders can take to strengthen their organizations against crisis. On his part, the Managing Director of Flour Mills of Nigeria, Mr. Boye Olusanya, also gave his recommendation.
Corporate resilience, human resilience, policy resilience, and government resilience all come. The economy is made up of individuals, corporates, government, and investors, right? All of us have to be resilient. Resilience means that you have to dig deep, and bring out the best in you, because human potential is probably more than the actual, right? But human potential can become negative when you're desperate and when things are negative. So we got to change the thought process.
Right now, the biggest thing for us to continue to drive is our agricultural sector as we continue to drive domestic production. That helps in terms of food self-sufficiency. And as we've seen in the crisis, one of the things that has happened is when supply chains get disrupted, you start seeing commodity prices going up. So the more we can actually produce and develop locally, the better for us. The other thing, of course, is whether it's businesses or the country, we need to start looking at how we risk manage ourselves through any of this crisis.
Now, the equities market opened the new week on a positive note, carrying over last week's bullish momentum. Let's get more details from Ini John Mekwa.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the week begins with the bull. After occupying the winning spot from Friday, it sustains that spot even today. And the All-Share Index gained 0.24%. There was not as much as the more than 1% of Friday, but still in the green. And 48,000 level, which the market gained on Friday, is built just a little bit more than that. Not yet at that 49,000. And then the market gained 62 billion naira at the close of trade, with the market cap still at 26.29 trillion naira. Drivers of this trade are majorly in the banking sector. FBN Holding leads, followed by Zenith Bank. Both of them added about 100 million in volume to today's trade. Transport joined that league with just 10 million at the close of trade today. Little wonder that today's volume is more than 300% higher than what we had on Friday at 645 million. That's for volume. But value is on the flip side, in the red, 4.19 billion naira. Deals slightly different from what it was on Friday. It's an average way to start the week, hoping that the market will only build on the gains from tomorrow until the close of trade this week. That's a Stock Market Report. I'm Ini John Mekwa. It's back to you.
And that's it on Business News. It's back to Amarachi for the rest of the news.
Thanks a lot, Will. Coming up next, ANC's National Executive Committee backs embattled President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's facing corruption allegations and a possible impeachment vote in Parliament tomorrow. You join us again. Welcome back. The National Executive Committee of the South African ruling African National Congress has thrown its support behind embattled President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's facing corruption allegations and a possible impeachment vote in Parliament tomorrow. An independent report said the president may have broken the law by allegedly covering up a theft at his farm. He has denied any wrongdoing. A spokesperson says the report was flawed. Simon Pusey has more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The largest trial in Belgian history has begun with 10 men accused of involvement in Islamist suicide bombings in Brussels in 2016 that killed 32 people and injured over 300. Set to last 7 months, the trial has revived painful memories for those who lost loved ones, were injured or witnessed the twin bombings at the airport and a third bomb on the metro in March 2016. Around 1,000 people have been registered to be represented in the hearings. 9 of the accused are charged with multiple murders and attempted murders in a terrorist context and face potential life sentences. All 10 are accused of participating in the activities of a terrorist group. Oil prices have risen amid concerns that a new cap on the price of Russian crude could disrupt global supplies in the coming months. A separate decision by major oil-producing countries to keep cutting how much they produce to prop up prices has also fueled the rise. The price of Brent crude oil rose by almost 2% on Monday to $87.25 a barrel, but this is still well below the highs seen after Russia invaded Ukraine. Higher oil prices tend to push up petrol prices and the cost of living, which in the UK is rising at its fastest pace in 41 years. According to reports, several people have been killed in explosions at 2 Russian military airfields. A fuel tanker exploded, killing 3 and injuring 6 in an airfield near the city of Ryazan. Another 2 people are reported to have been hurt in an explosion at an airfield in the Saratov region. It is not known what caused the blasts. Meanwhile, several buildings were heavily damaged in the center of Donetsk after the city was hit by shelling. There were no reports of any casualties. Sudan's pro-democracy coalition Forces of Freedom and Change has signed an initial agreement with the military to restore civilian rule after last year's coup. The deal allows for a 2-year civilian-led transition towards elections, but protests challenging the agreement have already begun in the capital Khartoum, and more are expected across the country as people call for those who led the coup to be held accountable. Sudan has suffered nearly 4 years of political instability after the former president Omar al-Bashir was overthrown following mass protests. Thousands of residents in Indonesia's East Java have been on high alert after a violent eruption at the island's tallest volcano, Mount Semeru, prompted authorities to impose an 8-kilometre no-go zone. The eruption, some 640 kilometres east of the capital Jakarta, follows a series of earthquakes in the west of Java, including one last month that killed more than 300 people. No casualties have been reported, and there has not been any immediate disruption to air travel. Almost 2,000 residents have been evacuated as authorities raised their warnings to the highest level. 3 Chinese astronauts have returned to Earth after completing a 6-month mission aboard China's space station. They left for space on the 5th of June to oversee the final construction stage of the Tiangong space station, which was completed in November. The crew touched down on board the Shenzhou 14 spacecraft on Sunday in China's autonomous region in Inner Mongolia. China's space agency declared the mission a success. Commander Chen Dong and teammates Liu Yang and Tsai Shujie said they were feeling well after landing. And Prince Harry has spoken about what he calls the leaking and planting of stories, calling it part of a dirty game in a new trailer for his upcoming Netflix series. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Neymar returned from injury to help inspire Brazil to a 4-1 victory over South Korea this evening as the favourites cruise through to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Now, the world's most expensive player had sat out his team's last 2 matches with a sprained ankle suffered in their first game in Qatar, a 2-0 win over Serbia. Croatia have reached the quarterfinals of the World Cup this evening with a dramatic 3-1 penalty shootout win over Japan after a tense last 16 clash ended 1-1 after 120 minutes. Well, Japan's bid to reach the last 8 for the first time in their history came to a crushing end after another display of the sort, which saw off Spain and Germany on their way to topping Group E. England winger Bukayo Saka admits he has extinguished the ghost of the Euro 2021 finals when he missed a penalty shot. But the England forward says that he has grown since that miss to become a more mature and confident player. And that's sports news. I'm Ayo Tunde. Balogun, back to you, March.
Thanks, Ayotunde. On a programming note, the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu was at Chatham House in London earlier today, where he presented his plans for the people of Nigeria if he becomes president. He spoke about curbing insecurity, revamping the economy, and building institutions to enhance electoral process in the country. There were also questions and answers sessions. Join us at 11 p.m. Nigerian time for a broadcast of the engagement. And the main news again. The APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu was at Chatham House in London today, where he spoke about his plans to liberalize Nigeria's energy sector. He equally addressed the issues of inconsistencies in his academic and birth records, just as he condemned electoral violence ahead of the 2023 general elections. Also today, the PDP presidential campaign train stopped over in Lagos. The party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar vowed to privatize the Warri, Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries to raise $10 billion for women and youth empowerment. That's news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.